Fellow Ambazonians, this is Alex Mbianda, and I've just listened to Professor ANYANGWE talking about some global funds and talking about how we have to depoliticize this fight for the freedom of the people of Ambazonia. And ANYANGWE talked about him having a track record. I've worked with ANYANGWE. I want to talk about track record. I can track ANYANGWE to the point where ANYANGWE was a facilitator in the creation of a government in the middle of a revolution. And today he is coming to talk about some global fund that he is going to be part of. ANYANGWE is a sly. I say this without reservation. ANYANGWE is a lawyer, and he can sue me for what I'm saying. But his track record tracked him into a room in Zaria where Ayok and Milan chased people out, and ANYANGWE sat quietly in that room, conducted the creation of this thing that has led us to where we are today. This nonsense called the government. And he is talking about the excellency. ANYANGWE were the people that when they left Zaria, they made him an advisor, and he was one of those who was calling Ayok his excellency. Now he is blaming our fighters on the ground for calling the so-called people that he gave them as their leaders his excellency. So ANYANGWE's track record tracked him into a room in Zaria where Ayok and Milan chased out people and formed a government in the middle of a revolution. Then ANYANGWE track record in my books tracked him to when we were fighting La République in the court in Banjul. And we contributed money and sent ANYANGWE to go and represent us in the court in Banjul. And ANYANGWE disappeared between South Africa or Yaoundé and Nigeria. He never got to Banjul. The late Professor Dr. Ngumni had to stand in court to save us in the case as the figure that was representing the then Southern Cameroons, as we're calling it at the time, not Ambazonia. It was Dr. Ngumni, late Dr. Ngumni, may God bless his soul, who then therefore stood after ANYANGWE disappeared. We did not hear from him. He never gave us any feedback. Then ANYANGWE resurfaced when we had this revolution, when we had the momentum in this revolution. He resurfaced. And we thought he had repented. And we reached out to ANYANGWE in South Africa. He came to Boston. We sat down and we said to him, you are the most experienced legal mind in our middle. By default, even your age and how long you've been in the Anglophone movement. So we want you to head the legal team for the prosecution of this revolution. And ANYANGWE agreed. We flew him from South Africa. He stayed at a hotel. We paid for the hotel. He lived large here. Guess what? ANYANGWE participated in every meeting that the law firm had with us. Some of them remotely. ANYANGWE sat. ANYANGWE was the lead signature when we signed the contract with the lawyers to start prosecuting this revolution. First, they wanted to create a lot of awareness. Second, they were going to gather figures to freeze the assets of member of government of the La République of Beer. And ANYANGWE was the one leading the team to gather the data. ANYANGWE never, ever produced one data to the law firm. And if ANYANGWE did do so without my knowledge, let him come up and talk. Anyangwe was in a room when the lawyer said to us, you cannot and should never, ever create a government in the middle of a revolution. It is going to cause infighting. It is going to cause splinters. And Anyangwe took that with him to Zaria, sat down with Milan and Ayok, and that is just what they did. Today, he is talking about depoliticizing the revolution. Meanwhile, this IG is the offspring of Anyangwe, and let Anyangwe shut up. And I say it without holding back. Let him shut up. Anyangwe is eyeing the money that they are going to be contributing. He talked about global funds that he wants to head. Guess what? That is another my trip to Boya, this time heading into the pocket of Anyangwe. So until Anyangwe can prove himself, we will hold his feet to the fire. Anyangwe participated in the creation of this government that have led us to where we are today. Right now, we have splinter government. We have the government of Ayok, the government of Nsako, the government of Marianta, the government of Anu. And how will all of this not influence our fighters on the ground negatively? If you create a government in the middle of a revolution with the kind of momentum that we have, then you will end up with large-mouthed people like Anyangwe talking about a track record. Anyangwe track record tracked him into a room in Zaria where he sat with Ayok and Milan and created a government that he was supposed not to have created, but he did just that. So the message to Anyangwe is, until you repent, until you come out and tell us what made you to do what you did, then it is time for you to shut up.
Wow, this is so good. It also made me to remember when we took the Nigerian government to the Nigerian High Court there in Abuja. We contributed money that some of us were even arrested along the Bamenda food market, asking our people to contribute monies for this case. They sent this money also to Anyangwe, who was supposed to represent us as an Ambazonian lawyer. He was supposed to represent us at the Abuja High Court hearing. But when the money reached Anyangwe, we were only updated during our TT meeting. That's the think tank meeting which we hold in Bamenda at the SNC office, Cow Street. That they went there and Anyangwe didn't show up. He was not there, so the case was adjourned. That is when Dr. Mfo, Ngumne, and the others had to fly back to Nigeria, and they contracted I think it was called Akintola law firm, if my memory is still good. That's when they contracted the Akintola law firm, who stood for Ambazonia in the Abuja High Court, where we won the case. You must have read the Abuja Declaration. But one of us who was supposed to be there, who knows everything about us, who has got everything in his fingertips, took money and vamoose. I only heard also again of Prof Carlson ANYANGWE only after 2018. He just disappeared. Nobody heard anything about him. But 2018, he's here and singing and talking. When the ADF, AGOC, sponsored my trip down to ground zero to put together the soldiers, I gathered them and we started training. I was using a middleman who is in Nigeria. I still have all of those audios. I was using a middleman who was scavenging for sticks for me. But you know, one of the guys who worked with me passed the information to the IG. At that time, it was led by this guy in South Africa, Milan. Milan was the one spearheading all of this thing behind. And they had to call this guy and told him that they want to have a meeting with him. The guy came to me and told me that, why are you people so divided? I said, what is the problem? I said, he said, the people who you have been talking about called government, I don't know how they have my number, but they have called me telling me to come and meet them. So, but we have been through thin and nail, and you know me very well. You are like a brother to me. I'm like a brother to you. I cannot do that without talking to you, because I have read you on Facebook, I have listened to audios, and I know what these people are doing to you guys. So I want to ask you, should I go or I should not go? I said, to me, left to me, you should not go, because these people mean, they don't mean well. They don't mean well as far as our struggle is concerned. He said, but don't you think it is good I go and hear what they want to say? It might be they want us now to work together, and maybe they have seen them, they realize themselves, and they think that they can pass through me, who is neutral. I said, okay, go there. He went there. I said, put your phone on record. Each time when they are talking, he went there. He had never met Anyangwe before, never met Milan or any of them. He went to, it was in Calabar. He went to this man's building. They call this guy again, this guy who he was arrested alongside Siseko and Co, and then he was released. He owns a hotel in Calabar. I used to forget his name. Is it Ashu? I've forgotten his name anyway. But they went to his hotel. That's where they had the meeting. So he recorded everything, sent to me, and I forwarded same to my people. Now, what they were telling him was, look, you are working for a terrorist, a one-man show called Dr. Cho Ayaba. You should come and work for the government. You see all internet, everywhere people are just talking only about Siseko. Everybody is about the government, except this one warlord called Dr. Cho Ayaba. I'm just trying to use their word. Except this one warlord called Dr. Cho Ayaba, who want to spoil everything for us. He said, but he responded to them. He said, I remember, because I work with Shey Kaavi. I remember when he told me that in a meeting in Nigeria, in Nigeria here, he asked you people that all of you should come together and form a united military front that will stand by the people and defend the people. But you guys said there is no room for hostility, no room for military, and that you defeat Cameroon in court or by demonstration, since many people are on board that many people can demonstrate, and then the United Nations will come in. And Anyangwe responded that, yeah, at that time they thought that, okay, the world will see the might, and they will lay pressure on Paul Biya to come to the table. But they have seen that that is not the case. Then he asked them, then why don't you call this man you are calling him warlord to talk with him to see how you people can work together? And this guy in Nigeria, Milan, said, do you see a government coming to talk with a rebel group? You don't negotiate with rebel leaders. You don't. That is exactly the word I am using. And they said, come and work for us. Just give us a list of what you want. How many pickup jeeps you want? How many guns you want? How much you want? We will give you the money, and then you will work for us, and you will stop working for that rebel leader again, because we have heard about you, you know. And they showed him a paper to sign. He said they should allow him. He has got a team. He'll go and think and talk with his team before he can sign. So when he came and met me, he was trying to describe to me those who were there and all of those things. And as he was giving the descriptions, I was calling the name. He said, yes, that is the name. That is the name. And then Carlson ANYANGWE, he said the man sounded very smart, intelligent, but the man hates my guts. The man doesn't like the AGOC, ADF. But at that time, I knew that ANYANGWE was partial. I knew that he will not hate Dr. Cho Ayaba for anything or hate us for anything until I had a talk with this gentleman. You know, from that time I just started looking at him from a very, very, I just give a gap. What Alex Mbianda just said here just triggered my brain back to those days. Yeah. So we have suffered in this revolution. We have suffered. And if there is one person who is the architect of all of these things, it should be Carlson ANYANGWE. Yeah. And when he visited me when my mother was sick, he visited me and came to the hospital. I wanted to bring up this topic, he shunned it. I wanted to tell him what happened in Nigeria when we met. He shunned it. He just said, no, it's not the time. And we talked about other things. But I do not forgive so easily. When something gets into me that is really working me up, it is difficult for me to just slide over it. Yeah.